What's up, freaks? This is Steve Does, episode number 8. Pulling you up on the screen here if you have any questions. This is a live broadcast on health, fitness, training, and nutrition, Peak Freak style. If you have any questions, put them right down here in the comments. I'm going to pull you up on my little screen here, and we can talk about it. Give you a chance to get settled in here while I sit my Herbalife. Tons of information to go over today. You know, Steve says episode a little more about the mindset, the motivation, how you need to think for success, for weight loss, to reach your goals. Then Steve Does is what you actually have to do. The information you need to actually put it into place and take freaking action is what Steve does. So we say what to do on Tuesday, and then we do that shit. Talk about how to do it on Thursday. He does. So we say what to do on Tuesday. If you have any questions, put them down there in the comments. We can answer your health, your fitness, nutrition related questions. It could be on the topic we're on. Try to keep it into the training and fitness area, but really any questions you have, we can go over. We can talk about it. It's episode number 8. Today we're going to talk about how to properly track your macronutrients. And then before we even do that, what are the macronutrients? As you already know, it's protein, carbs, and fat. We're going to break that down. What do those really even mean? People talk about it. We're just going to break it down to a simple level. It's probably just a refresher course for you, but you can never get too much of good information. So it's all usually each week. This is all about what are you struggling with weight loss, fitness, training, health, and nutrition. So you can put those questions, comments, any struggles or problems you're having in the comments. Also, we'll get to those after. I have several questions we're going to go over at the end once we finish talking about what we're talking about on this with the macronutrients and the tracking your foods. So this week, what are macronutrients? What is the purpose of each macronutrient? How much should you get of each macronutrient? And what about different diets that manipulate the different macronutrients? And then how can you track them? So we're going to get deep into all that. Steve Does is a live weekly episode for anyone struggling with getting results in your exercise program, weight loss, diet, journey, as I share with you my personal in the trenches, unique Peak Freak approach to our training systems and our educational eating guidelines so that you will know how to train, how to eat, how to lose weight, and how to get real results in the real freaking world. Sound like a plan? Because we train different, we eat different, and we are fucking different as Peak Freaks. We're going to show you exactly how we do it. Nora's here with us. Who else is here? If you have any questions, you can throw them right down there in the comments. So we are preparing for the freaking invasion. We're learning about the unique training systems that are the Peak Freak unique training systems, our weight loss strategies, nutritional discipline, educational eating. Put your questions in the comments. We are going to get rolling. Your questions could be related to what we're talking about. It could be off topic. Try to keep it training, fitness, nutrition related. So we get tons of questions on how to track your calories. Do you need to know how many calories you eat, and about macronutrients and what's the difference between them, and tons of questions about carbs, and carbs are good, are they bad? Can I have good carbs, complex carbs, simple carbs? And it's a lot of information out there, and it really depends on what your goals are, who you're talking to, and what's the new cool trend on the fucking internet is usually how it goes. So we're gonna, or how much should you have of each, or what's the difference between them? If it is a calorie just a calorie, and how does it all work? So we're gonna get a little deeper into the food tracking in a bit about tracking your macronutrients. But first, we need to talk about what the hell are your macronutrients. So you know they are protein, carbs, and fat. A macronutrient is basically any substance that it requires a relatively large amount by living beings like humans. I'll use the word humans lightly for us Peak Freaks. Or living organisms in is a type of food like fat, protein, carb required in large amounts in a human diet or even in a plant diet. Plants have their own macronutrients that are required in large amounts for plants to grow and develop, just like humans need to grow and develop. And that's more like potassium, magnesium, calcium, stuff like that. And that's where you get that stuff out of your plants. That's why we eat so much veggies, right? And fruits if you can. But we know we don't want too much fruits for your freaking carbs. So nutrients are substances that are just needed for the growth and metabolism and for pretty much all your body functions. Pretty much every body function. Obviously, you're going to die if you don't get your macronutrients. So they provide calories or energy. That's what they do. Or calories really is a measurement of energy, pretty much. The prefix macro actually means large. Greek, it's a broken down Greek word for large because it's required in large amounts. You need large amounts of protein, carbs, and fat. Think about it compared to the amount that you need of magnesium or calcium or something like that. You're talking about milligrams, and some things even micrograms that you need of different vitamins or minerals or micronutrients. But macronutrients, you need grams, hundreds of grams of protein for most people. So that's why it's a macronutrient. It's just needed in larger amounts. It's a little more major. Protein, carbs, fats. Main function of these macronutrients is to provide freaking energy, and which are calories. So carbs give you 4 calories per gram. Protein, 4 calories per gram. Protein, 9 calories per gram. Fat. That was stupid. Fat, 9 calories per gram. So fat is more than double the amount of calories per gram than proteins and carbs. So you need to know how to convert that, because when you see something that has a certain amount of grams of fat, say it's 8 grams of fat, 8 grams of protein, that is not equal fat and protein. That's more than double the amount of fat, because 1 gram of protein has more than double the calories. You need to know how to convert that. So that's the first lesson. So again, protein, 4 grams. 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. 1 gram of carbs is 4 calories. 1 gram of fat is freaking 9 calories, and that's why they call that shit fat, right? So protein comes from, these are all words always, come from some Greek word or Greek origin of a word. It comes from the proteus or whatever the hell I pronounce. I don't even know how to pronounce it, whatever. And it's the word the first. It means first, because that is what the first thing you need. It is the building blocks of the muscle. It's broken down from amino acids. Amino acids are your building blocks of protein. It's the first thing that you need. You need your protein. Besides energy in the body, protein is required for growth and development, especially in children, teenagers who need to freaking grow, and pregnant women who need their baby to grow in their freaking belly. And it's needed for tissue repair, boosting your immune system, hormones and enzyme production and development, and just stability, and for lean muscle mass, and just to look the way you want to look, which is just almost as important, because the way you look is going to be how you feel a lot of times. So look at everything I just named for what you need about protein. Now you know why we stress protein so fucking much. Children need it to grow. Pregnant women need it. Teenagers need it to finish developing. It's for tissue repair, immune system function, hormone and enzyme production, and obviously lean muscle mass, building lean muscle, and giving you that look that you want to look, that confident look you want to look. So protein just basically equals freaking health and confidence. Growth, development, and confidence is what it actually is. And proteins are broken down into amino acids. They're basically just a bunch of amino acids that are stuck together, chained together, and they're broken down. And some of them the body doesn't produce on its own. There's several, I think it's like 9 that the body can't produce on its own. So you need to get that from outside sources, like fruits and veggies have a lot of that stuff. The essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids. Essential means they must be provided by the diet. You need to get them from an outside source, which you know is why we sometimes supplement, especially when you're dieting, or you want to call it dieting. We don't use the word dieting. When you're, watching your calories or just eating the fucking healthy the way you should, you might be short in a lot of them, especially if you're cutting your fruits out because there's too much carbs and sugar in the fruits. Then you might supplement with some BCAAs, or even a little further, there's a whole list of amino acids that you could have. But a lot of them, the BCAA is going to have the main ones that you need. Your isoleucine, leucine, valine, your main not essential amino acids. So proteins that come from animal sources are usually pretty much all complete proteins, because they have all the essential amino acids in there. But we know we're cutting our beef and we're having just our chicken, and then you're having your fish. So that's why we also sometimes need to supplement it. You're not getting it. Is there a good amount in beef? Sure, but there's also a good amount of freaking fat. That whole cow thing. We know how that works. Protein from plants and grains and nuts and seeds and vegetables and stuff like that are incomplete, because they're lacking at least one of the essential amino acids that you need, that the body can't produce. So that's why we have to eat the way we eat. I'm just breaking down, why do we eat the way we eat? Why do we get our protein the amount of protein we get? And we need such a significant amount of protein. We know starting baseline is 1 gram per pound of body weight. You're looking to be lean and fit. And that's baseline. There's times where certain people need to go up to two times their body weight in grams. So if you weigh 150 pounds or 200 pounds, you might need close to 400 pounds sometimes. That's different cases depending on your goals, the stage you're at in your fitness journey. All right, so quickly, we're just going to run through. This is hopefully mostly a refresher course for you, but it's just to keep it fresh in your brain and just really start breaking it down. Be like, no shit, this is why I need this. This is why I need to avoid this. This is what this is doing to me. That's just why we're breaking this down real quick for you. So carbs. The body's using freaking carbs in the form of basically sugar, blood sugar in your body, glucose, that it's going to convert into energy very quickly in your body. And you know, it's simple sugars, complex carbs. Simple sugars go a little quicker. Complex at least takes a little longer to break down. So that's a little bit better than just a sugary one if it's a little more of a complex carbs. And you can see something, a label on something. It'll tell you how much carbs in it and how much sugar. So whatever's not sugar, then bam. But you do need carbs. That's why we don't go to these zero carb things or extreme low carbs for a certain amount of time. Your brain works off freaking carbs. Your brain, if you're doing those low calorie, low carb diets, we want lower carb, but we still do get some carbs, a decent amount, 25% of our calories from carbs, close to it. So it's an energy source for your freaking brain. You'll be foggy, you'll be fucked up. You won't even have your brain will be fucked up. You won't be thinking, you won't be functioning correctly. You'll be speaking differently probably, and your memory even who knows it all. You need some carbs for your brain and your organs to function, since it's not going to use fat for energy. Your brain is not going to. You're going to use either carbs or protein sometimes for the energy source you need. Like high intensity training is going to use carbs or protein. You're not going to really use fat for an energy source when you're talking about high intensity training. You're going to use carbs or protein, which is why you need some carbs in your body already when you're going to do high intensity training or weightlifting and stuff like that, or playing a sport or whatever your goals are, whatever you're doing. So this is why you need your blood sugar level to be freaking constantly maintained above a minimum level. That's why you start feeling dizzy and nauseous and all this other stuff. It means you fucked up somewhere in your nutrition throughout the day. You haven't been eating small meals every 2 to 3 hours. You haven't been breaking down where your meals are compared to your workouts. So you start working out. You're already at a minimum level of blood sugar. Then you start working out and it needs more. It's going to zap every bit of blood sugar you have left. And now you're screwed. And you start feeling dizzy, nauseous, and trying to puke up your guts because there's nothing even there to puke up probably. The body also is going to store your carbs. There's going to be stored carbs in your body as an energy reserve. Basically, your liver is going to hold a bunch. I'm holding wrong. The liver is going to hold a bunch, and your muscles actually are going to hold freaking carbs. That's why when you do high intensity training, you need to have a little bit of carbs in you. This doesn't mean go load up on freaking carbs. That's why you see those carb loads before a marathon. If you're going to run a marathon, that's a different story. If you're just doing one of these little races, whatever, don't think and you're not doing it professionally and not doing it competitively. You're doing casual races and stuff like that. Don't sabotage your nutrition for weeks at a time for one little thing. It's going to take weeks and weeks to dig yourself out of that freaking hole. Again, if you have any questions, Phoebe Kelly, are you watching, Phoebe Kelly? Phoebe Kelly, I've been emailing you and texting you and Facebook messaging you for about 5 or 6 weeks now. Have you gotten those emails or texts? I've been emailing you. If you're still watching, I see you commenting in there, Phoebe. If you can check your freaking emails. All right, so you store carbs in there because you need carbs for energy. It's an energy source. Energy, it's fuel for your fucking brain. So you need some carbs. Your muscles store them because they need it to push that intense fucking training that you're doing over in your peak boot camps and boxing and exploding and bam and punching shit and punching people. You need to have that for periods of intense physical training, weightlifting, high intensity cardio, intervals and stuff like that, sprinting. So the amount of carbs stored usually in your body is equivalent to a day's worth of calories, give or take. It's a ballpark figure. But carbs have two major roles, and that's to be an energy source for the brain and for a source of calories to maintain your body weight and just healthy function. So you need to have a level of carbs for your basic function and for your activity level. So high intensity training does need some carbs. Don't go too low carbs. You're going to just use your protein for fuel. Then on that high intensity training, you're going to get flabbier. You'll be training your ass off, and you'll be freaking flabbier. Remember, you could look like this and weigh 140, or you could look like this and weigh 150. Depends on what that shit is made of, right? Depends on the density of it. What is it consisting of, that weight? So there's also, involved in the construction of freaking body organs and the nerves and cells and the definitions of your freaking blood identity, what blood group you're in. This is all carbs. You need carbs throughout your life. You cannot go like such low carbs. I see too low carb for too long. If you're going to those extreme levels of low carbs, like literally, I'll go to 0.25 grams of carbs. That's the lowest I will ever go throughout the year. 0.25 grams of carbs per pound of body weight. So for me, that's 40 grams of carbs. You know how long I'll maintain that for? The longest I'll ever stretch that low of carbs throughout the year at a time? 3 freaking days. And you'll see people go even lower than 0.25. So for me, 0.25 is 40 grams, like 185 pounds. Imagine if you're 150, 140 pounds, 160, whatever you are. It's going to be even lower than that. So if you're going like only 20 grams, 25 grams of freaking carbs every day for a sustained amount of time, you are fucking up your metabolism for the long term. Sure, you might get a quick drop, a quick immediate drop for the time being, but you're going too low. It cannot be sustained. It needs to be for a short period of time. And then fiber is also a carb, but it doesn't get it fully. That's just helping your stomach health and digestion and all this other stuff. And so there, you do need your freaking carbs. You need fiber. Obviously, it's a carb. Even though they do the whole net thing, the carbs minus the fiber because it can't be digested, blah, 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 all this other stuff. We still count it. If it's a carb, we count it as carbs according to us. Because I know that otherwise we'll start manipulating shit with those Quest bars and all that, all those carbs that are in there. And the next thing you know, your fat is through the roof because you had something that had a lot of fiber, but also had a lot of fat, a lot of calories. Then you're getting gaining weight or not losing weight off of some other shit. So we count fiber as regular carbs. We don't do that whole net carb bullshit. All right. All right, fats, quick. Going on to fats. Questions, throw them down there in the comments. Fats, is an energy source for fat, but it also protects your freaking internal organs. So you also do need some fat. We don't go zero fat. Again, for you need a certain body fat percentage just to live, to be healthy, to be safe. You go to a certain low level. First, again, it can only be sustained for like literally like a day or two. At a very low level, probably a day, probably for a few freaking hours, it could be sustained at those extreme low levels that you see like these steroid freaks sticking needles in their ass on camera, on these magazines and all this other stuff or whatever. So you do need some fat in your diet too. That's why we go 50% protein, about 50%, sometimes give or take. And on the most extreme freaking times, your fat and carbs are only down for like a couple of freaking days, those extreme low levels. You need fat. It protects your freaking internal organs. You need some fat. This does not mean you have a hall pass to go stuff your ass with a bunch of fucking fat. That's not what we're saying here. Obviously, within reason, within our educational eating, nutritional discipline, peak freak guidelines, and I'm getting pushed out of the way here. I'm out of here. That very normal kid, Tyson, jumped in to tell you about no excuses. And he just say no excuses about the fat and the carbs. He knows you need them. You need some fat and carbs. All right. So fats are also the slowest source of energy, but also the most energy efficient form of food. And because look, if each gram has 9 calories and compared to protein and carbs have only 4, you need some fat. There is use for fat. It does get used for freaking fuel in certain instances. Not for that high intensity training though. And not until your carbs have been all burnt out, then you go into your fat burning if you're not training too hard or for too long. It's a fine line there. Fine freaking line. And fats are such an efficient form of energy, and they're stored it gets stored. Your body's storing it for when it needs it, for that emergency. That's why when you start starving yourself or you're going too low on like carbs or too low in calories, your body's going to latch onto that fucking fat, that whole skinny fat thing, right? And it's usually going to be right there in your gut for men. Maybe in the hips and glutes and thighs for women, love handles in men, whatever. And just under the skin in general. If it's not in a huge localized place, it's just generally around the body, under the skin. So when you break down all these macronutrients, what are they for? So when you're talking about for providing freaking energy, carbs, fat, and protein all provide energy, but it depends on what type of energy you're talking about. High intensity training needs either carbs or protein. If you have no carbs, you're going to eat your protein. Lower intensity training is going to use carbs or protein or fat, but you need to make sure the carbs are gone first. So you go into the fat burning. and you spare your protein. You need to spare the freaking protein. That's why I've been going those lower calorie diets, lower carb, lower fat sections. We bump our protein up. The lower your carbs go, the higher your protein needs to go. And some proteins that get broken down are going to get converted into some carbs too, and some fat even, if it's in excess and in small amounts. So that's going to help you also. When you're talking about promoting growth and development, protein, and then the different vitamins and minerals, and of course water is in all these also. Water is just across the board, but they're not macronutrients. We're talking about macronutrients. But still, when you talking about promoting growth and development of your body, or a kid or a teenager to finish growing, or a pregnant woman for the baby to grow, protein is where it's at. Protein is where it's at. Carbs and fat are going to give you that a little bit of that energy, but they still need freaking protein. And then just to regulate body functions is protein also is in there. And then all your vitamins and minerals and water. So what are carb sources? Now we broke it down again. As you already probably know, most of that information, it's just a quick refresher for you. So when we talk about what are the different sources that we should be going with and how much we should have, we know we want about in the Peak Freak educational eating guidelines, we want minimum 50% protein, then 25 and 25 carbs and fat. Those don't have to be exactly 25, somewhere around there, but you want neither one of them to be so low that it's like 5 or 10%, either carbs or fat. Because I just showed you, explained to you, you need them. They're called macronutrients for a reason. Protein's not the only macronutrient. It might be the fucking macroist. That's not a word, but it is now. That might be the macroist nutrient, but they are all macronutrients. They are all big and needed and necessary for just basic health and well-being and development and an overall powerful freaking immune system, and to get in the best shape of your life even. You need them all. You can't perform at optimal levels without having some amount of carbs in you for that high intensity. So our carb sources under our eating guidelines are veggies, the green ones. Stay away from the corn. Veggies pretty much all you want, because you're going to get to that point where you know that you're going to you can eat as many veggies as you want, as much greens as you want. You're going to get full and sick of eating the veggies before you get to the point where you ate too much at one point to be a calorie problem. And we do need some freaking carbs, so don't worry about it. Then you're also going to get some carbs if you're having a protein bar, your protein shakes, probably having your meal replacements, but also your Greek yogurt, one of the only dairies we're going to have. Your cottage cheese, another one of the only dairies that we're going to have. You're going to get them in those other sources. Also, so fat sources, where are your fat sources coming from? Most of them, we avoid, but you're going to get some fat in, depending on if we went zero on that cottage cheese or whatever. But grilled chicken has fat. Fish, certain fishes have even higher fat than others. Those higher fat ones don't have every freaking day. Go with the lower fat ones, and they're still going to be fat. Every 4 ounces, 3 to 4 ounces of chicken is still going to have 1.5 to 2.5 grams of fat. But it's going to have like 20 grams, 22, 24 grams of protein. So it's a major protein source. Obviously, the grilled chicken, you add that skin on, forget it. It has like 15, 25 grams of fucking fat. Make sure you're taking the skin off of that shit and don't fucking fry it in a bunch of nasty oil and other shit. So the grilled chicken, you're going to get some fat. Now you're going to get the fat. It's going to add up without even realizing it. So you think you're on such a low fat, low carb diet. You'll see as you start tracking your stuff where it's coming from. Protein, we know, is coming from your chicken, your fish, egg whites only. Is there fat in the yolk? Sure, but it's going to start building up too much because we want to keep it under that level of 50, 25, 25 in that ballpark. That's just our baseline. It's not going to be, it doesn't need to be exact. As long as the protein is 50 or up. And as long as the carbs and the fat are not too low. We don't want them too low ever, except for that you have that day at that one day, that photo shoot or whatever, then you go to that extreme level for that one day or that big event coming up or the first day of your vacation. That's all it's going to last for, that first day, because the second you start rehydrating, re-eating, and adding in a little more carbs, you're going to go back to your normal filled in, healthy self and probably look better and feel better, have a lot more energy and work out a lot harder. But that's all besides the point. So how do we track this shit? We track it on MyFitnessPal. What's the question? Keto. Yes, keto. I was actually one of the questions was similar to that, so we'll get into that in a second about keto. So we use MyFitnessPal. It's an app. If I could pull it up here, I have to close you guys down for a second. Simple app, totally free app. You don't need to pay anything for it. I don't know if it's logged in on this tablet, but it's right here. So you can see, I don't know if you can even see that, but so MyFitnessPal, it is so simple. Once you have the foods that you eat regularly, it will store the foods for you in there. So you don't even have to look it up. It has a scanner. You can scan if it has a label. And you'll start generally knowing how to ballpark it, how to eyeball it, how much chicken is it, or how much, if you could do by egg whites or whatever. So the diary is right there. You just click on the little plus symbol. And then if you go down to your nutrition, this is where it is a key. So let's look. So there was a day that wasn't a complete day. Look, there's the chart that you're going to see is like that. I'm hoping I'm zooming in that the right way. So that's a chart. You can see the green is the protein, the blue is the carbs, and the fat is the red. So off of that, where there's 55% was protein, 25% was carbs, and 20% was fat. And that still gave me 90 basically grams of carbs, 32 grams of fat. And there was 200 and something grams of protein. So you're going to keep it in there. That's exactly the chart you need to do. Free, MyFitnessPal, free app. You don't need the paid version. There's a paid version. All it does is unlocks one or two stupid features that you don't need. MyFitnessPal, simple, free. You could track all your foods and it could break it down exactly like that for you so you could see where your percentage is at according to what you're eating. It remembers your foods. You could store your meals in there. Awesome stuff to help keep you on track to make sure you're staying within these educational eating guidelines that we're freaking talking about here. So a couple quick questions that we had where it seems so hard to get to eating. This is one question that came in yesterday. That everyone talks about eating healthy. It seems so hard to get to eating healthy food and finding healthy food that's inexpensive. How can I eat healthy without going broke is the question. This is such a fucking myth. It's such an excuse because it always happens the same. People will talk about this. Oh, it's so expensive to eat healthy. Bull fucking shit, because then they'll go put some fucking rims on their car or some dumb shit like that, or get some new bracelet, but it's too expensive to eat healthy. No, you're choosing not to maybe spend 50 extra fucking cents to get something healthy, all right? There are so many options of healthy eating at the same price as the unhealthy eating. And you go to a restaurant. When you go out to the restaurant, you can't pay for, right? At a restaurant, you're going to pay more for your food. Whatever. It's better. It's good food. The convenience. You're socializing. Do what you got to do. Go out to the restaurant. But then don't say you can't afford to eat healthy. That same restaurant that you're ordering that shit fucking food, you can order healthier options no matter where you're eating. You can find healthy options. You tell them exactly how you want it made. You tell them specifically, you be annoying as you need to. And guess what? They're going to make it just how you need it. And if they're not, you're going to get something else. If they can't make that how you can eat, you're either going to leave or you're never going to fucking come back there again. And you're going to pull out your protein bar you had as a backup plan. You're not going to eat fucking shit at that place. So this whole thing of that it's so expensive to eat healthy, bullshit. You don't need to go all organic and pay double the price as organic. You can if you want. Might be a little better of an option. But okay, I'm going to pull some of this stuff out for you. Greek yogurt, Oikos 000 Greek yogurt, 15 grams of protein. What do we got in here? 0 grams of fat, 13 grams of carbs, because we do need some carbs, only 6 grams of sugar, and 6 grams of fiber, 15 grams of protein. You have this in a bottle of water? This with a bottle of water, that is a small meal. That is a small meal. You can throw in a couple of egg whites if you want. Speaking of egg whites, that's $1, by the way. A freaking dollar. $1. $1. So you say, oh, it's just cheaper to go get a dollar menu at Whopper World, or whatever the fuck that place is called. And this is $1. You're a little bit better off with this than getting 60 grams of fucking fat in your little burger or whatever it is. Eggs. There's 12 eggs in here. Even if you get these are cage-free, farm fresh, all this other bullshit that they say on it, whatever. No antibiotics, fed all vegetarian diet, all this other, no animal byproducts, no added hormones. Is that true or not? I don't even know. But you can get the healthy ones. And even these, the more expensive ones, 12 eggs have 6 grams of protein in each one. 20, if you just get rid of the yolks, 25 calories only, 6 grams of protein per egg white. There's 12 of them in there for a couple of bucks. What, $3 for a, I don't even know what it is. $3, $4, something like that for 12 eggs. You take that 6 times 12, that gives you what? How much? 72. 72 grams of protein in this right here. That's going to be a few meals for you. Few meals. You can make them hard-boiled eggs, omelets, whatever the hell you want. What else we got? Your Quest bar. We know Quest bars. What does a bar cost? $2, 20 grams of protein. You get some carbs, you get some fiber. Packets of these tunas. A buck. A freaking buck. You could get, look at the numbers on here. 80 calories. This one has 1.5 grams of fat. Some of them have even less. It has 0 grams of carbs, 17 grams of protein. Convenient, so don't sell them. You don't have the time. You don't have to prepare a meal and this and that. Bullshit. It's all fucking excuses. Look at this. $1. This is a healthy meal. Small healthy meal. That's why we eat every 2 to 3 hours. So all these are all small healthy meals. I just showed you right there. Bam. That's 4 meals for a fucking couple dollars. So don't say eating healthy is too expensive or too inconvenient or you can't make it happen. What else we have? A protein shake in a can. It might be $3, $4, whatever, but you're getting 35 grams of protein ready to drink with only 1.5 grams of fat, 4 grams of carbs. 2 of those are freaking fiber. 2 of those are sugar. 1 sugar only, actually. 35 grams of protein for like $3, $4. You're also paying for the convenience. You get a protein powder, it's going to be even less. Your protein chips, we know our Quest protein chips. What are they, a bag? $2, $2.50, something like that for 21 grams of protein, 4 grams of fat because we need some fat, 4 grams of carbs because we need some carbs. 2 of those are fiber, 0 freaking sugar. Cheap, 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 small, convenient, healthy stuff. Bags of like these veggies. Of course, you can get fresh, not in this one, separate one. You can get fresh, what is this, like $1, $2 for a whole bag of veggies? How many servings are in here? 4 servings of veggies. 25 calories a serving. It has the carbs you need because you know we want carbs from our greens. 4 grams of carbs in a serving. 4 servings in here of veggies. It's like $1, $2, $2.89, some shit like that. It's healthy. It's fucking cheap. It's easy. It's convenient. What are these? Shrimp. And this is a small serving of these. 1 gram of fat, 14 grams of protein. There are 11 fucking servings in here. I guarantee this bag wasn't more than $5. 11 grams of serving of 14 grams of protein. Even if you broke that into 2, even if you had 2 servings at a time, so that's still 5 servings in here, 28 grams of protein, 5 meals of 20 grams of protein for what, $5? Or whatever, maybe it's more, I don't even know. It's not more than, a little more than that. Not that much at all. So don't say that you can't eat healthy, that it's so expensive, that's bullshit, because always the people who say that it's so expensive to eat healthy, it's a fucking bunch of shit because then they'll waste their money on some other stupid shit just because they decide to. So when you say it's too expensive to eat healthy, you say that you just don't have your priorities and don't put yourself first and don't want to invest in yourself to spend, 50 extra cents for nothing really. The yogurt's the same. Regular yogurt's the same. Fucking $1 a thing. Or to get some protein chips or whatever it is, a protein bar for a couple of bucks. You get the point. All right, so that takes care of that about eating healthy and a budget and all this other stuff. The next question was, how can I make my healthy options not taste so nasty? Everything I just showed you. All right, egg whites don't taste nasty, but you can make them millions of ways. And you can also add all those spices. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of spices that have 0 calories, no sodium really. Billions of spices that you could just add into that shit, into your egg whites. You could add in fresh vegetables, freaking spinach, celery, broccoli, peppers, onions, all different kinds of peppers. Throw them in there, a little bit of tomatoes. Don't go crazy with the tomatoes or the carrots because they start getting the carbs up there a little bit, but still they're fine because you need some carbs. You could flavor the shit out of that. Your grilled chicken, you can make a different way. I swear you can make a different grilled chicken every day for a month and never have the same fucking thing. For every day in a month, 7 days a week, and you'll never have the same kind of chicken. That you could find a way to do it. It's just making excuses and not putting in that extra 2 seconds of freaking effort to do that shit. Those Greek yogurts, flavored, taste like a freaking dessert. This shit tastes good. This doesn't taste like what you're thinking, the plain Greek yogurt. Protein bars nowadays don't taste like the carb bar they used to. Of course, you're gonna get a little more carbs in there, but as long as you know that, and a little more fat, as long as you have space for that in your day and your nutrition, there are ways, millions and millions, there are endless ways to not make it taste so nasty. But you also know you're not eating for flavor and for fun and enjoyment. You've been doing that for the last 10, 20, 30 fucking years. It's time to eat for fuel, for goals, for freaking results, and you're eating for your grandchildren that don't even exist yet or that do exist. That's what you're fucking eating for. So enough of that can't afford it stuff. Enough of that it doesn't taste good stuff. These are all fucking excuses, and we know we don't have no damn excuses. So the next came on right before I just saw this question. Can oatmeal be eaten? Can I have oatmeal, and can oatmeal be eaten at any time of day? If you're going to have oatmeal, make sure it's on a day that you know your carbs are going to be under control, that you're not having a ton of other types of carbs. If you have the oatmeal, maybe that's the day you're going to have your plain Greek yogurt instead of your flavored Greek yogurt, just to offset it. Or maybe you have space for both that day. Also, it should definitely be all your major, bigger carb sources that have more, like that Greek yogurt I just showed you that had 14 or 13 grams of carbs. That's a little more for such a small thing. That stuff should probably be somewhere in the first half or even first third of your day, not towards the end. You could be a little off depending on when you're going to be doing your training, but definitely you don't want to have that after your training session if you're working out at 7, 8 p.m. You can go to sleep on protein. You can't go to sleep on carbs and fat. Go to sleep on protein. Don't go to sleep on carbs and freaking fat. So oatmeal, it needs to be plain oatmeal. One serving is 100 calories of plain oatmeal. Still going to give you 19 grams of freaking carbs, pretty much all complex carbs, which we know a little bit better. We just went over that a little bit earlier. So protein, when you know you're having a long, busy day, I wouldn't say to have or oatmeal. Don't have oatmeal every single freaking day, 7 days a week. The days you know you need a little extra energy, maybe a little extra carbs, a hard training day, you're going to be busy at work and be running around, and you know you're going to need some extra carbs, and you're not going to overdo it with your carbs the rest of the day. Plain oatmeal, one serving, 100 calories, 19 grams of carbs. Bam, mix nothing in it. No fucking honey or blueberries or none of that shit. And the next one was about different diets that manipulate the macronutrient ratios. And then there's a question that goes right along with that about the keto diet, which is 75% fat, 25% protein, and 5% carbs. It's a big, huge success. I won't claim to be some keto expert. I know the basics about it. I know several hundreds of people that have used it, done it. I know dozens of people who promote it and teach it. And can they get results off it? Probably. On our program, I would say no. On our way of training, our way of thinking, our way of eating, we don't do that because it's just a diet, and to me, not really sustained for too long. Again, there's people out there that are keto crazy and will kill you over that shit. Just like the vegetarians and the vegans, they'll attack you over it. But our type of training, I feel we need to have some of the carbs. We do some high intensity training. So going 5% that low on carbs, I do that when there's a photo shoot, like I said, for 3 days, and not that much fat either. Because the whole point is to not let your blood sugar go high enough that you have such a surge of insulin, and you teach your body to learn to use fat as energy. And that's going into a state of ketosis, which is the keto diet. And that's the overall the way it is. It could go a lot deeper than that. Again, I'm not a keto expert, but I know enough about it to at least have a conversation on it and to tell you about it. So you need some carbs in there. To me, it's not sustainable. I've seen people try a keto diet and do high intensity training and have disastrous results. I'm sure there's other people that could tell you otherwise, but it doesn't fit the way we do our educational eating guidelines. If you're getting your protein up there, you're getting a moderate amount of smart about your carbs and a little bit of the fat, not overdoing the fat, because most people's body, or a lot of people aren't going to react to that to get to that ketosis level. And then by then they're drained and using fat for fuel, when high intensity training and especially weightlifting does not prefer to use fat for fuel, even in a state of ketosis. It's a little bit different. It could go a lot more scientific than that, but we like our 50, 25, 25. And that's the way we do it with our educational eating, because that is sustainable for life, for freaking life. Any more questions, put them in there. So again, we just went over the macronutrients, protein, carbs, fat, the purpose of each one, and the different sources of each one, how much we need of each one, and then about the healthy foods that are too expensive, fucking myth, and then also healthy foods not tasting good enough, another fucking myth. Get over it. You have reasons why. You have fucking grandchildren out there that aren't born. So stop with the bullshit that this extra 17 cents to get the healthier fucking option is too expensive when you're putting the fucking gold teeth in your fucking mouth, all right? So get your shit together, stop making fucking excuses, and make it happen. This has been Steve Does, episode number 8, No Excuses.